Okay, the meeting is now being recording, so I suggest we take a moment, show respect, and pledge allegiance to the flag, and we'll kick off this meeting. But you all join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay. All right. Well, I want to extend our thanks to Ernie and to Jeff for joining us. Is that going to be it from the school district? Anybody else?
I'm not sure if Mike Jones is going to jump in. He is the school committee liaison. He did get an invite.
Okay.
But it's just Ernie and I, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they want it, I can print it for you. Just let me know. Okay, man. Talk to you after.
Okay. So I guess with that, do you want to take over the screen, Jeff? And I think, let me see if I can do that. I don't know if I have administrative privileges here. Let me see.
Jeff should be able to share his screen, I believe.
Okay. All right. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to take over the screen and share your screen and go through the capital improvement articles.
Well, I have, I don't know if I can share that off of my iPad right now. I assume you all have the articles in front of you and the proposals we gave. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I'll just talk off of those. I just wanted to thank the committee for giving these a once over. Lincoln, I actually think that the template you supplied us is pretty good. We used it for everything and sent that one over to Hanson as well. So I appreciate that. It was we were able to put those things together. So I'll just look at the articles, and Ernie, please chime in as maybe this is one of your last capital meetings, Ernie, before you retire. So
yeah, I think it will be, Jeff.
I don't want you to be silent. So
Yeah.
we're looking at, and let me preface this too. I had a very good meeting yesterday with Lincoln and Representative Allison Sullivan to try to put some, at least an earmark for the Duval and Conley playgrounds. I will be sending her over exactly the information that you have on the Duval and Conley playgrounds, especially the Duval, and I'm really focused in on the Duval one because it's really end of life and you know, potentially dangerous. So she is going to be addressing the legislature and the speaker on Monday or Tuesday of next week to try to actually put some funds toward this. But our priority right now in our capital items is to really focus in on those playgrounds. And Ernie, if you would just take over and speak to the status of the Duval playground and what we've done to show the capital committee what we've done as far as having a consultant look at it twice, once in 2020 and then once in 2021.
Okay. So like Jeff said, in 2020, actually the consultant has been out other times, but in this case, we wanted them to really look at what was going on, an in-depth study of what was going on with the Duval playground, because we're starting to get some complaints from the nurse over there that there were kids that were getting hurt, and so we had it inspected. And the process that we go through is when we get something like that done by an outside consultant or an outside firm, we take their recommendations and put them in work orders, and that's what we did. They resolved whatever issues were out there for Conley, Duval, and Indian Head through work order internally. And then what we ended up doing again is we had the consultant to come out again, take a fresh look at what we've done, and is there something we missed? Is there something we can correct? But when it came to the Duval school, it's they were just repeating themselves because it's at the end of useful life.
Ernie, can I hold you for 1 second?
Sure.
Josh is willing to share his screen with these details. If anybody doesn't have these, does anybody not have these to follow along? Okay, so it looks like everybody has them. Okay, so that's good. One last thing I just wanted to bring up, Ernie. The consultant you used, can you just name them? Is it the same consultant in the playground inspections of New England? Is it the same?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
it's the same
Just
consultant,
for
yeah.
clarity. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you. Please proceed.
So through that process, they come out again and they revisited Conley, Duval, and Indian Head and the internal playground over at Conley, which was the old Park Avenue playground that we relocated from Park Avenue out front to the center of the courtyard at Conley School. The issues that were there before have been resolved, but we have new issues that have come along with the Duval School. If you read the reports and you look at the, what they did, and they don't do this anymore. They took a piece of steel pipe, they put plastic around it, they stuck it in the ground. It wasn't galvanized pipe, it's steel pipe. And what ends up happening is the rot comes from the foundation up through the pipe, and you don't see it because the plastic looks great. But what happens in areas that have like stairs, steps, there are the leaping frogs that would just break off because the metal, the steel would start to rust below ground, and then they would break off without any warning. So with the Duval School, when Jeff said it was at the end of its useful life, we are there. And one of the big issues we spend a lot of money on it every year, is playground mulch. It's gets shipped in from Connecticut. If anybody knows anything about playground mulch, the process you got to go through in ordering it, getting it there, and we also try to time it because it's a major safety issue to have the playground mulch there leveled off, and there's a compaction, there's a depth that we go by. So long story short, the process we're going through right now is we're looking at both Conley and Duval playground. Conley is a little bit different. There's some work that can be done on Conley to save that playground. That's been spelled out in the report. And the interior playground at the old Park Avenue playground at Conley has to be removed. Indian Head, not that you guys, you'll see it in the report, but Indian Head, those issues were resolved, and that's 3 years old. And we already had issues with the Indian Head playground. And it goes back to the usage. It's used during the springtime. And I think if you ask anybody that's got a daughter or a wife, they've been to every playground in the area. Indian Head was used very heavily after school, summer months, vacation times. That playground is used. And Conley and Duval the same way. The playgrounds that we have there, they're used constantly. We know that.
Let me jump in a little bit, Ernie. The issue really with Duval too is it's used more heavily than Conley because of the area. After school, we're seeing heavy usage by community members, and I think that led to a more rapid deterioration than the Conley large playground. And I had this conversation with Lincoln yesterday, and Karen Downey would probably kill me if I said this, but my priority for this committee really is the Duval playground, because Conley's outdoor, their large playground, is serviceable, well, with some modifications. The interior one has to go, and if I had to go on a need and a want and a need, the Duval is a need. The Conley interior is a want. It will be really good for kindergartners and first graders, and it's something we should probably focus in on. But I am very concerned about the Duval exterior playground. If that one goes, those children have nothing. At least at Conley, they have the other playground. So, going to this committee, and that was the focus with Rep. Sullivan yesterday. Even trying to brainstorm ways to fundraise potentially, if this committee so chooses to want to put up, or if we have to raise some additional funds because we can't afford it. I know the Duval PTO was looking at a fundraiser, but It's low level. It's gonna raise a couple grand. I mean, this playground's looking at between $300,000 and $400,000 for a total gut and something new. So I just wanted to be open and honest with you on that, where I'm at. I am concerned when the report you see says potential fatality. It's something that concerns me greatly. Is it still serviceable? Yes. Has Ernie and our facilities crew done a great job to make sure it's safe? Yes, but it's deteriorating by the day. And come next September, it would be outstanding if we could open up a new school year post-COVID with something for the children of Duval.
Okay, so let's address each warrant article as they come in. So
Sure. Yep.
I think we should probably have an open discussion on warrant article number 1, because if we wait until the very end, I think we'll lose some of the impact of what is on people's forefront of the topic. So I'm opening up discussions for warrant article number 1, presented by the school district. I guess I'll start with the Conley. You have two prices, and it's 300,000. That's basically a repair. What does that extend the life to compared to total replacement of 400,000, where I imagine there's going to be a 20 or a 25-year life cycle to that? What do we extend the life on Conley's?
So if I may, Donnie, looking at Conley's, it's a totally different playground. If we went with the interior courtyard playground, it would be it would be based on kindergarten and first grade, different structure altogether. So the price is different. Where at Duval, it would be kindergarten through 5th grade. So they would have a different apparatus, a lot of different pieces of equipment out there. So that's what kind of increases the price. And the footprint of Duval is a lot bigger than Conley. But looking at the repairs to Conley's existing playground, we're working with a vendor right now because our goal is to make it safe. But we're also, there's handicap accessibility. There is no handicap accessibility to that playground over at Conley. And we're looking at how we can make that handicap accessible. And also with the existing system, how much longer will we get out of that system? 2 different manufacturers. Duval's manufacturer is different than Conley's. So they obviously have a better quality product at Conley versus Duval for longevity. But I'm hearing that if we do the repairs and we make it handicap accessible, we can get another 10 to 15 years out of that play structure. To dump a boatload of money in there and not make it handicap accessible, I'm talking about the Conley playground, I think is setting us up for a problem down the road, especially with the population there. And if we have full day kindergarten, there. So to answer your question, I hope I answered it. 10 to 15 years we can get out of it. And it's definitely going to be converted to a handicap accessible playground. And I think that's the direction we're heading with the Conley existing playground.
And Ernie, the repairs are what, about between $50,000 and $75,000 for the repairs and the handicap ADA compliance at Conley?
Correct.
And then the interior playground at Conley, that's the big nut, that's the expensive piece. And then the Duval, we're looking at about we told the vendor the other day, we're capping it at 400,000 to give them some, $400,000 or less. But we just need a comparable playground for the students of Duval. So the Conley piece, and I spoke to Lincoln about this, and we could break this up if we had to, but we put it on one warrant article just for the fact that if we put $75,000 for Conley and the townspeople, you approved it and the townspeople voted it, and Duval got nothing, and I had an end of life, I would have an equity issue within the school district.
Okay, do you think we should break it up into 2 warrant articles just for the town meeting? It's a big number
Yeah,
for
I know.
playgrounds. Well, I guess that's really enough. My my position shouldn't really be saying whether it should or shouldn't be. I'll leave that up to Lincoln and the selectmen to decide.
Yeah, I mean, so as of this moment, on the draft warrant, it is in 3 articles. Full disclosure, I didn't actually, that's my slight oversight. I didn't actually see them as 1A, 1B, 1C. I just didn't see those numbers. So that's why at the moment they're out in 3. And then, you know, I mean, so we'll see. They can stay that way at 3. That's what I would recommend, but you know, we'll see how the Board of Selectmen feels regarding the draft warrant.
Mr. Chair,
Anybody else? Somebody, Fred?
I think we need to just simply go back to the charge of the committee is to recommend or not recommend a project, regardless of the cost. You know, that's what my interpretation of our charge is.
I saw you on mute. Do you have, there you go. You go first.
No, I was just going to ask, am I correct that this is the Duval playground from when the school was expanded, renovated, whatever you want to call it, in 2000? And I was moved from Holt to Duval as a 5th grader. So this is the playground that I had at Duval.
Got it.
Yeah,
So it's your fault.
Yeah, I was a big 5th grader. I probably did some damage.
We're rough on it.
So yeah, Justin, that I think it's in its 22nd year of life, Ernie.
yeah.
20, it was built in 2000 or
Yep.
developed.
So it
And
can
what we
vote
fir-
next election
Yeah.
and drink.
Right.
I just had a quick question. You know, I agree with you, Superintendent. It's a public safety issue for me. So getting that, it seems like that Duval project done is important. But for the Conley School for the pre-K and kindergarten one, I understand your figure, but when I looked at the report, it seemed like the inspection group wasn't able to review it. So do you guys have some backup data or something and why you put that proposal together, I guess?
I can answer
So
that.
go ahead, Ernie. Go ahead. Sure.
So what ended up happening originally, I don't know if you were on when I talked about the Park Avenue School. That was relocated from the Park Avenue School over to the center courtyard at Conley. The person doing the evaluation did not want to put us in a bad light by basically saying that playground should be dismantled today. We don't use that playground currently right now, but that's why we did not go into depth with the survey, because I thought it would be a waste of our resources, and we already knew what the issue was. That the playground, innocently, when Park Avenue closed, the principal asked us to bring it over there. The maintenance crew dug it up over at Park Avenue, transported it over there, put it in there. We were trying to do a good thing, but basically with the way, it's not that it wasn't installed properly. They feel as though that it's not safe for kids to be on. The one on the interior.
So Selectman Evans was on that one too.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
Go ahead, Fred.
just noticing the project title is New Playground PK and K. We don't
Not
have
PK.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's K12 or K1 basically we don't have PK over there.
Okay, any other questions on Article 1? So Josh McNeil?
Yeah, so quickly, how often are the playgrounds inspected? Are they inspected every year, every 2 years, or is there, just kind of curious?
To answer your question, Josh, we've done it probably 3 or 4 times. They're not inspected every year. State of Massachusetts does not require playground inspections by law. 2020 was our, out of our insistence because we're getting complaints. And so we had the inspection done, not knowing the industry. And then when we got the report back, we're like, holy crap. So we're looking at, again, we had it redone just to verify what was done and has anything changed in the code, because that's evolving all the time. But to answer your question, I think we've done it 4 or 5 times. I think the first time that we brought the company in to do it, they did not see the rot underneath the plastic like they did with the Duval.
Excellent, thank you. And also is there any anticipated costs on, I know that they inspected the playground when they provided that report, but is there any type of recommended, maintenance or, to extend the life of these playgrounds once they're actually installed, if we move forward with the new playgrounds?
Well, it's going to be a different, if I can answer that, it's going to be a different technology. The plastic over the metal is not being made today. What they'll end up doing is they have a pipe that they coat electrostatic paint. That seems to be the most popular. We did that at Indian Head School. And it's, I think we have a 10-year warranty with that. And we've not seen any, even with the abuse that one's going through over there. And I sometimes look at it as abuse because some of the stuff that goes on there, it's not showing any wear and tear. So I think with the playground, if we were to install a new playground, I would highly recommend that we go with the electrostatic paint, whatever color you want to pick, on that pipe, and then it's all fully coated before it goes into the concrete footings.
Excellent, thank you.
Welcome.
Don, if I
Okay.
could,
Yep,
just a
Michael.
quick thing regarding funding sources. So last week at the school committee meeting, and I appreciated that there was some discussion about, so the schools have excess and deficiency in the amount of $1.8 million. That's the school's equivalent of our free cash. Free cash is our main source for ongoing capital needs for the town. There was some discussion at the school committee meeting last week, and then a little bit more, including myself last night, regarding the possibility of the school committee considering some portion of that excess and deficiency with the schools for some portion of the capital plan, whether it, and I know Superintendent Simonak has the view, and I understand that, regarding not using that excess and deficiency for town specific projects like these playgrounds, but the possibility, possibly having the consideration for joint projects, specifically at the high school, district-wide projects, so it doesn't have that 60-40 split issue. So I just want to say that, obviously, so that's, I think a possibility. It's obviously up to the school committee what they're going to decide with that, but I just wanted to let this committee know that, as Superintendent Simonak said, there's certainly in full support of that effort that he's leading with Representative Sullivan to think about some state monies to help with, in particular, the Duval playground. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and it is the Duval roof article. So that's by far the largest outstanding capital article now for the schools from the town of Whitman. Briefly, and certainly this is something that Ernie and Jeff know a lot more about than I do, but briefly, that article, it was originally 500 and change. It was originally $548,859. Last year, if the committee may recall, we used at town meeting for other schools' capital needs, $279,000, approximately $279,000 from that. So, the schools folks can give some input into how much more of those monies they need to make intermediate fixes for the Duval roof. But I'd certainly, hope we can consider using some portion of the remaining $255,000 there especially since it's for the Duval School. It's for the Duval School roof, but perhaps some portion of that could be used for the Duval School playground, and that would certainly help the town afford this, if all these funding sources came together. So, I know I don't mean to put you on the spot, Ernie, but if either tonight or in the future, we can get some sort of idea as to what we might be able to access from that outstanding Duval roof article to help, do this obvious need for the Duval playground. I think that would go a long ways towards us getting it done. So
So I want to
Ernie,
just
are you able?
quickly, I want to quickly explain something on what we do in the district. We have what we call a leak detection inventory. Whenever there's a rainstorm, we have a floor plan. We look if there is a roof leak. High school happens to be the poster child for March and February for leaks. But we identify that, we get them fixed. Duval School, I don't know why, whether it's the wind not coming in correctly or whatever it is. We seem to have less of a problem. We spent a boatload of money on repairs over there. So when you say something like that, Lincoln, I feel better about it than the rainforest we used to have going through there. Again, that was a panic back in 2015 to get that engineered, to go with the state to see if we can get some extra money from the state. They've changed, just in case you don't know this, or you know it, but in case somebody else doesn't know this, the state through MSBA accelerated program has changed the rules. Roofs used to be every 20 years. Now it's 25. I suspect that they're going to go up to 27, 28 years for roofs replacement, because they're seeing that they're getting longer life out of a well-maintained roof. So that's my 2 cents, Lincoln.
And do we know, and again, we need to find this out and come back on it. Do we know when that clawback period is now? So you said 25 and it might get up to 27. So what fiscal year is that? It's 27 or 28?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, and they took Windows. When we were looking at the project, Windows was included in the project, but MSBA has taken Windows completely out of the game plan now. So in that project is heavily dependent on window replacement versus roof replacement. So
Can I just interrupt one second? If we can just stay focused on the warrant article 1 on these, and the funding really should be with the other committees. All this stuff is really good information. It makes me feel more comfortable voting a yes on all this stuff, what Lincoln brought to the table. And I understand that's probably his main intent on that, to understand that we did have funding for this, or at least there was funding available or through the district. But I'd like to try to stay on topic on the warrant articles that are on hand. And I got one more thing before I bring it to you, Fred. Have these projects, are they going out to bid, or are they on the school playgrounds, or are they just going off the state contractor list?
State bid list. There's about 6 different vendors on the state bid list.
Okay.
They would go on the state bid list.
Okay. So these are just the consultant's estimates right now we have.
Actually, we're meeting with vendors to see, because we need to know what's out there. We need to really know. Maybe it's not 400,000. Maybe it's 250.
Right.
Maybe it's not 70 over or 55 over at Conley. So we're meeting with vendors to get a better idea on what the upset limit is. I think our consultant gave us a number, and we'd be foolish to not follow somebody we paid advice for to follow it. So that's why we carried those numbers. Those are the numbers that they gave us.
Okay. Fred, you had a question?
Oh, I wanted to just clarify something in my mind. When the question was asked how often the school district has the playgrounds inspected, it was my understanding that they're inspected at least annually perhaps not by an outside company, but by our own personnel. They take a look, they make sure there's no, sharp objects sticking out, and, that it appears to be safe. And then if need be, they would get a professional company to come in and evaluate and do an inspection. Am I incorrect in that line of thought, Ernie?
No, I'll tell you, Fred, it's inspected daily. When the school children are there, we will get emails and work orders from teachers in the playground. If there's an issue that happened Monday morning, the children are out in the playground, the teacher noticed something that got either messed up over the weekend or was a problem. So to answer your question, we inspect them, yes, but it's on a daily basis with the teachers and staff when the kids are out there.
Thank you, Ernie. I appreciate the clarification.
All right, any other questions on warrant article 1A, B, and C? All right, let's move on.
Thanks, Chair. Warrant Article 2 is something new. We didn't have it on our original capital matrix, but this winter that we had shows that the high school roadway is in very much disrepair. All you have to do is drive to a meeting at the high school and you shall see it. So Ernie, if you want to take it away on what we need to do for the high school roadway and parking lot.
Okay, so the high school roadway, we're approaching 17, 18 years now. If you come up here, and we all have driven up here multiple times, you'll see like a patchwork repair that we've been doing. There'll be a section that we've been repairing through the years. And I think right now that roadway is in bad shape. And I've had two vendors up here and they're telling me what I thought I could do is I could grind off the first 1.5 inches and then put a new 1.5 inch layer on top of it. They're telling me, no, we can't, because most of the roadway, 50% of the roadway, both layers, the base course and the top course are shattered. And in most cases, as you drive down there, you look at the teacher's parking lot, it's a good example. Same thing. It's a mess. It's gone through, the moisture, the freeze thaw has gone through 2 layers of the asphalt, and we're at the base right now. And then what ends up happening, we plow this parking lot and we peel it right back. So far, I wanted to get the number on how much patch we've had that we bought from TL Edwards. It's almost 6 tons of patch that we've used at the high school alone, repairing potholes. Then we get a storm. We come in here, use the plow, and we peel back what's there already. So 6 tons is what we've repaired the potholes at the high school. And I know the everybody's telling me the same thing. This winter, for some strange reason, has done a number on the roadways, and we all see it. The roadways and parking lots, especially in Whitman and Hanson. Take a look around. There's some roads that I thought were pretty decent last year. Today, not so good.
Ernie, if I may, is this a complete replacement of all parking lots or just the faculty parking lot and the roadway all the way around the perimeter of the
No.
facility?
No, Don, what it is from the beginning of the roadway where the school sign is, Whitman Hanson, that roadway, I'm leaving the speed tablets, too expensive to rebuild. So they're going to grind up all the way to the first speed tablet, which is where the tennis courts are, continue up towards the high school to the second speed tablet, and then over that to where the new entranceway to the high school is, where we put in a new loop. So it's actually to the loop. And then the teacher's parking lot, it's the center part of the teacher's parking lot, not the whole parking lot. What we were going to do it in phases, because we were really concerned with the numbers and the timing. The timing is huge for us, because this building This building is, there'll be somebody here most likely till 10:30 tonight. Some days it's 7 days a week that this building's used. And when Jeff and I think about how we're going to get this done, you know, what's during the summer, because that's when it's got to be done. But this place is pretty much occupied during the summer as well. So we have to coordinate that. So there's some night work that has to be done. That's what we're going to be requiring. But to answer your question, from the entranceway up to the new loop, complete road rebuild. And then I think there's 34 catch basins that are included in that rebuild, raising 34 catch basins, redoing 34 catch basins. And then the center, I think it's 16 feet of the parking lot in the teacher's parking lot from east to west, or whatever that is, north to south.
All right, I guess one question I have on that, so with these numbers of the 300K, that's has a portion of overtime labor within it?
It's going to be night work. There's going to be night work. There's no way we can grind that main roadway up and place asphalt during the day. There's only one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
It's like the elevator. We only have one elevator here, and when that goes down, we're in trouble. Unfortunately, with the roadway, the strategy we're going to end up using, and we're using both towns' state bids or their asphalt bids that they use for Chapter 90. So the vendors we're talking to are both Hanson and Whitman asphalt vendors.
Good.
All right.
Any other questions? Justin Evans.
So this school opened my sophomore year, so you can blame this one on me too. I'm feeling old. Everything I use is at end of
You're
life.
making me feel old.
A question for you, Ernie. So when a municipality proposes street repair projects, they would have to reach out to all utilities that have underground facilities in case they wanted to do replacements or repairs at that time. Are you guys planning on reaching out to your, I think Whitman provides water and sewer, but gas, cable, electric companies as well? Yeah.
To answer your question, yes, we if I dig a hole on the high school property, we call dig safe. It's down to the point now, shovel snow, you call dig safe. In that case, and you've been up here where you see just a little history, and it's important to know the history. Our gas and our sewer come through the junior parking lot and up through that pathway. We do have electric and drainage coming down the main road, and some areas we have water. But to answer your question, yeah, we call it'd be the responsibility of the contractor that we hire, whether it's the one we use in Whitman or the one we use in Hanson, to make sure that those obligations are met. And they couldn't do it anyways until we get the clearing from DigSafe.
I manage the state's DigSafe inspectors, so I appreciate that answer. But I meant more of a sort of advance notice. This project is planned for this year. If you have any need to get at these facilities, we'll have the road open. This would be a good time for you to make those repairs. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Quick question and comment. So Ernie, is the $300,000 based on actual quotes from like TL Edwards or estimates, or?
We got an actual quote from a company out of Rhode Island. Hanson's bid comes out of Rhode Island. We got an actual quote from them. Give me a minute. And that number, sorry, I got all this paperwork here and I can't find the bid I'm looking for. But that number is below, right now, that number is below the number we have on the article. What I don't want to jump to is, this is one, we're waiting for TL Edwards to come in with their quote. Once we get that, then we'll be able to offer both quotes, so see where they are. I think the thing that I mentioned earlier about this is day, you doing the work during the day. What I've asked them for is to give me the cost to do the work at night, like they do on 95, 495, those roadways. So that will be coming.
Can you guys please make sure that this committee gets the full quotes when they come in?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And is the other comment, I had a conversation with Bruce Martin, Superintendent Martin from Highway and Parks today, and he said he'd be very happy to help out. And it sounds like if it was just milling, that's not really in their wheelhouse, but it sounds like it's a lot more as far as actually excavating out and getting it down to the base. And he said they'd be very happy to help out and, you know, dig out and take away a lot of the stuff on the base there. So hopefully that might be able to reduce your costs. I don't know how much, but hopefully by some amount. So he'd be happy to help out with that if it is what it sounds like it is. So
Lincoln, they always help us. Those guys
Yep.
always help us.
hopefully maybe we can bring it down a little below 300.
Yeah.
Josh McNeil.
So I was part of the original building project, so I know the roadway is in the, awful condition, and I fully support the project, pending the funding is available. Just curious, how often is the roadway seal coated since it was installed, Ernie? Do we know that?
It was never seal coated.
Never.
Never. It really has. There's two schools of thought. Some people don't believe in seal coating of roadways. They think it's just a paint job that wears off. We've done crack sealing. We've done multiple crack sealing, and that's probably the most important one. And we got to the point where we couldn't crack seal anymore because we're crack sealing the cracks on top of the cracks. But so yeah, we never really looked at coating the road, but we have crack sealed multiple times.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Thanks.
Next article.
Ernie, Article 3 is your ventilation to try to curtail some of the mold issues in the middle school gym.
Yeah.
And I know we have a building project going. We're looking at a building project, but this is something that if we don't want to see a reoccurrence of what we had this fall, Ernie's making this recommendation on some heating and ventilation and some air conditioning. So Ernie, take it away.
If you have the history, what's going on with the Whitman Middle Gym, both gyms, you can see that the ventilation is very poor in there. And the reports that we've got from outside consultants, reports that we got from the Wentworth group that came in there, the existing system is not working properly, and it needs to be replaced. Some of the issues that we deal with there, because the ventilation is so poor, and I think I've mentioned this before, is the humidity in the summer that gets in there is brutal. It gets locked into everything, and that humidity comes up. I don't know this by a guess. I know this by a fact. I ripped up some of that floor to see what was underneath because we were having problems with dead spots. I wanted to correct the dead spots, and I got to uncover what was under there, and it's tar paper, and they have 3/4 inch plywood sleepers, and then the hardwood floor is nailed to that. So there is no vapor barrier underneath that slab. They just used tar paper. And so what ends up happening, the moisture, the heat comes through there. We want to ventilate that out, or we're going to continue to get the problems that we have existing in there now. We're soliciting quotes from engineers to give us estimates on what it would cost us to get a plan together. And I know when I look at it, the kids in first grade over at Conley will be going into into the middle school, probably when that project starts 5 years from now. So I look at the population going through there. I look at the potential problems that we're going to continue to have. And this is an avoidance, but it's a necessary avoidance to try to get good ventilation in that gymnasium. And it's probably not going to be cheap, but it's not going to be $100,000. And I think once we get an engineer involved, they'll have some, some different options that you guys and we can choose from.
All right, some questions. I see Fred. Fred, do you have a question?
And just want to make sure I understand properly. So we're looking at two separate things. We're looking at, one is the fan itself, and then the other one is the new rooftop unit for the ventilation and AC. The fan is removable if we decided to demolish the building. I just want to verify that fact.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Thanks, Don. The next article is the purchase of a couple of trucks. The district supports its own vehicles, and I don't know if Mr. Evans drives these trucks too, because they're end of life as well. But Ernie's looking to get some more, to be able to equip and have our guys drive around in trucks where we're not, using a screwdriver to hold it together. So Ernie, you want to explain what you're looking for in those two 2022 F-250s?
Yeah, the vehicles that we use are an integral part of what we do on a daily basis. And then the caveat is when we have any trucks that we order with a snowplow, because we use them all 4 seasons. If there's they're either towing a trailer for the grass to be cut, or they've got a sander in the back and they're pushing snow or moving supplies during the summer. So we use them constantly.
Well, they have a fuel tank on them as well, correct?
And they have a fuel tank. So the generators over at Duval and Conley can get filled, as well as the loader. You're right, Fred. But the vehicles we're looking at replacing is a 2005 Dodge Ram and a 2009 van. When the district used to do transportation, back in 2000, I think it was 2010, 2011, I took possession of both the vans, and they've been good so far, but we spend a lot of money on repairs, and we spend to the point where it's not funny, but it's real. We have a 2007 Chevy pickup, and the door latch doesn't work. I looked it up, and that's a problem with those Chevys. The window doesn't roll down, and the windshield wiper blades or the motor seems to burn out quite a bit. So the guy that's plowing the snow has to go to the passenger side, because he can't roll down the window to open up the doorknob from the outside. He goes to the passenger side and goes out the passenger door. And that seems to be one of the better trucks we have. And it's like during a snowstorm, nobody wants to drive that truck, but unfortunately we are. So it would be helpful to get 2 good vehicles in the district, dependable vehicles. I think what I'm doing now, in fact, I know what I'm doing now because of the dependability. We're starting to hire more contractors to come and plow for us. And I guess pay me now, pay me later, but we're paying a vendor to plow snow for us because we don't have the vehicles that we need to plow the snow.
And the last trucks that were purchased from for the district were in 2012.
2012, 2000.
And how many pickup trucks do we have in total in our fleet?
We have one, two, three, four pickups, 2 vans, one that isn't running, and a 2-ton dump truck. So it's warranted, it's needed. I think for the most part, we're going to get to the point where we're not going to be able to get inspection stickers. We get the rejection inspection stickers and we spend money out of our operating budget to get them fixed. So.
Hey, Ernie, quick question are these big enough to do what you need them to do in terms of plowing? In other words,
Yeah.
Have you considered getting like a, 27,000, 30,000 gross vehicle weight? Is that having an effect on the life of the vehicles, just pushing them?
Yeah, it does, but these are beefy enough off the state bid list that it's got an oversized engine. I am getting away from the diesel, Lincoln. When you have a diesel and you don't run it on the interstate, you run into problems all the time. So we're going back to the gas. So we've learned that lesson. And we'll get the engines that will be big enough, but I think it's versatility. Having a pickup truck that we can use for what I just mentioned before, whether it's towing a trailer with lawnmowers or transporting books or whatever we have to do from building to building. I think the pickup truck is vital for us to have.
Justin Evans.
I actually don't know how this would apply to the district, but both towns are in the Green Communities program. So the rule for towns purchasing vehicles is the new vehicle has to be more fuel efficient than the one it's replacing. Just for us to be able to maintain that green community status. Just curious, I think it would be tough to have a less efficient vehicle purchased in 2022 than what these are. But our police department has been quite happy buying hybrid vehicles recently, just due to the long idle times, the way we run them, they're seeing reduced maintenance costs. Is that something you guys would consider?
Yeah. And actually, we follow that pretty good because we ended up buying a dual fuel hybrid vehicle for food service because we're conscious of that. That became one of our quests to get that on board. And that vehicle that food service uses, the gas motor doesn't start, and it'll stay on battery below 42 miles per hour. So what ends up happening is they go from building to building. I don't think they go over 30 miles per hour going from building to building. Yeah, so I don't ever see him that drives that vehicle over at the fill-up station over at Whitman DPW. So they're getting pretty good use out of that vehicle.
All right. Ernie, do we have a fleet maintenance plan with all the vehicles that we have, or do you just handle one-offs as they come in with issues?
I don't have a fleet maintenance program. And whatever we kind of know, we do the regular oil changes. Those are scheduled to be done, the filter changes. But I think what's happened, and that's been consistent, whenever we have a recall issue, we bring it and have it done. We're seeing unusual things with these vehicles right now. One of them we have over at Bailey's, the dipstick broke off and they're trying to get that resolved. So there's some weird stuff that we're experiencing now. And I think that's due to, that's a plow truck, that's due to the salt getting up in that area. And when they pulled the dipstick out, it was rotted away.
Do you think, or maybe somebody in this committee could help with this, do you think would be the opportune time for us to request a fleet maintenance agreement, especially how we're looking to purchase a couple of vehicles? I don't know if you've actually got quotes from dealers yet, but I would think if we're looking to buy a couple of vehicles, it might be the opportune time to request a maintenance agreement also, and have them absorb some of our existing fleet.
That would go off the state bid list. And I don't know per se if the dealers, when you say a fleet maintenance, you're talking companies that specifically deal with fleets of vehicles or fleets of trucks. And most often they seem to have mobile operations, so they come to you to do the servicing. Where I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ernie, but for the maintenance aspect of things, they go to the local auto dealer for factory maintenance. Which
The last two trucks we got in 2012, 2013, we got from MHQ. MHQ dumped that down to a Ford dealer over in, they're the one qualified to service it, a Ford dealer over in Walpole. And we'll bring a vehicle over there to be maintained, and it'll be sitting in the lots for 2 weeks. So they'll tell us to bring it there at this time, and we'll call on it, and they still haven't looked at it. So I think some of the issues that we have when you say a maintenance agreement, if we can get somebody to respond when we need it, it'd be great.
Well, I think if you have issues like that, that's when you disqualify that dealer from bidding again. If they don't respond to an agreement that's in place, that's when you just take them off the bid list and you tell them why.
you're not going through them, you're going through a separate company, and they're drop shipping it to that dealer for the delivery and the servicing aspect. So you don't have that one-to-one relationship with that dealer. Dealer is not the one that actually sells you the vehicle.
So
Josh, do you have Josh McNeil?
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure I understood what was being asked here, and the fact that, we talking about a vehicle maintenance plan, like, I know Ernie mentioned that they do the oil changes and stuff, but, in basically a new car, they have, a sort of an extended service plan, if you will, or a maintenance plan that goes along with it. And this is, all these things that they double check. Other than the oil changes, or everything, is that being done by your folks there, Ernie, as far as in-house work, other than brakes and stuff like that? Is that all done there too as well in your shop?
So Josh, we for anything heavy duty, we send to Bailey's, and transmission issues we send out. Predominantly, if there's a muffler issue, they'll fix it in-house here, changing oil, replacing brake pads, not brake shoes. So it's maintenance, but it's like I said, heavy duty stuff we send pretty much over to Bailey's to be done. But I appreciate, Don, I appreciate what you're saying. I think there's got to be something out there in a maintenance program, and I'll look it up. MHQ, they're a state bidder. If they have a program that meets with those vehicles, I agree with you. I think it's an important thing that we have.
Yeah, I think it does a couple of things. I think it frees up your internal staff to do things that they were supposed to be doing, and two, they might have the specialty tools that to wrench the way they need to wrench, I guess, So I think it could be beneficial. Go ahead, Josh. You had
Yeah,
another-
sorry. I don't want to extend this any longer, but I have to agree. And I think, from the town's perspective, I think we could do the same thing, Ernie. I think, a fleet management program for, all of our fleet is a good idea to make sure that we know what's out there, how it's being maintained, what the longevity of it is. Unfortunately, it's no one's fault at this point, but, over the years, it's been, we're just going to take care of it. And this is how we do it, from our public works perspective, or the police or the fire and the school district. I mean, there's way too much going on, but unfortunately that plan is that software or whatever it might be to be able to maintain the entire fleet is something that would certainly, I think, be beneficial for us moving forward.
I agree.
Okay. Any other? Oh, Fred, one more
I
question.
just want to make sure that we're differentiating, because there's two separate issues. One is the maintenance, or the manufacturer will supply recommended vehicle maintenance. That's your oil changes, your cabin air filters, your air filters, and they prescribe, depending upon the use of the vehicle, when it should be done. And then as far as the repair aspect of things, as far as having the specialty tools, et cetera, to perform those functions, that's usually going to be a dealer function. And then you have the fact that when the vehicles are beyond the factory warranty, and the warranty states that parts are warranted to be free from defects in parts and/or workmanship when properly maintained. okay, as per the recommended guidelines of the maintenance schedule. That's what your warranty is. So once a vehicle's out of warranty, then you're sort of on your own a little bit too. And I think with our age of our vehicles and the longevity that we get, we've done something right in what we're getting out of them, and B, taking advantage of per se a local facility, keeps money local to small business. Number one. Number two, they can perform those basic functions as good as anybody. And C, it saves us money because they're usually a little bit less expensive because their overhead's a little bit less.
Okay. Any other further questions on Article 4? Nope. Okay, let's move on to Article 5.
Thanks, Don. So I think Article 5 you've probably seen before. Pre-COVID, Karen Downey was looking to put in some large fans or big ass fans in the cafeteria for ventilation. So now we're post-COVID, and we brought it back, and that will just help her. Her cafeteria is not air conditioned, and she's looking to put those in there. Ernie, you want to take this? It's not too detailed.
So we've used these fans in Hanson at the Indian Head and Hanson Middle School for movement of air. And that's why we kind of looked at, when it came to Whitman Middle, we said, geez, this could work there too. But Conley, she's been, again, I fear that the old section of the building does not have a vapor barrier in it. And the tile sweat, we can see when the moisture comes through, those fans will move that air, especially in the cafeteria and the gymnasium. Gymnasium's newer, but the cafeteria is the old cafeteria. Again, I'm almost 100% sure that there's no vapor barrier, so the fans will give that area some air movement. And it's not, and people think, geez, it's only going to be during the summer. No, in May and some of June, we get some pretty warm weather. And same thing in September. So these fans would definitely help, and they proved to be worth the money by what we've seen over Hanson Middle and Indian Head.
All right, I'll open up to questions. I'm assuming these are ceiling fan type of
Yes.
installation. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll open up to questions. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's move on. Article 6.
Article 6, we've had some issues with the rooftop units and chillers at the high school, and Ernie's looking to small sort of some money, but I think, Ernie, this is the one you're going to hire an engineer to put us on a schedule so that we don't have the issues we had in the past.
Correct. I think if I could speak on it, Jeff, Don, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a professional person to come in here and document. It's been, I think what's happened with us is when something breaks down, we make you aware of it, we notify you. I think what we're trying to do is be more proactive and identify, because we're in that part of these rooftop units at the life cycle. They say 10 years. We got a lot more than 10 years out of them, but my fear is that all of a sudden we're going to get to the point where you're going to be surprised with the amount of money we're going to need to spend to get those rooftop units replaced. So I think this is good. So we'll make everybody aware. We'll have an idea of what needs to be done, what can be fixed, what needs to be replaced.
So Ernie, is this kind of like you're going to have an independent engineering firm come in and almost do like a recommissioning of these and kind of research, giving you a soup to nuts, I guess, write-up of where they're at?
Right.
Okay, excellent, good. Any questions with that? Okay, moving on to Article 7.
Article 7, very similar. Ernie, you want to take that? It's again, the rooftop units.
So we have 2 units that have been problematic. You think you're at Logan Airport with rooftop number 4. The drives that we have in these units, they're on the exterior of the unit. The drives are never meant to be on the exterior of a unit, but we have rooftop units that are on a roof. And unfortunately, they have been failing miserably. So what's happened is, instead of having it in low speed or modulating it up, it's either off or on all the way. And I'll tell you, you walk up to the top floor. In fact, you go on the second floor, you think you're in a wind tunnel. And we have no way of controlling that volume of air with these drives no longer working. So it's either on or off. And the other part, I can tell you right now, it costs $12.40 when the library lights are on. And when I see the library lights on, when I walk in here and nobody's there, I go in there and shut them off because I know what it costs per hour per kilowatt. We're wasting a tremendous amount of electricity not having these drives replaced, because like I said to you, when those kids are in school here, we're having those units on because the heat and ventilation is required, plus we need to, but we're expending a tremendous amount of electricity making them work.
I just have one question on that. Would it behoove us to have Article 6 also speak on this also? I think you're going to have an engineering commissioning firm come in with Article 6, reviewing all the rooftop units, and probably give the best. I'm assuming this 13K or 21K is to purchase another VFD and maybe a PLC to drive it and put it in its same location, exterior of the unit.
Yeah, yeah.
So should we look to, I mean, maybe relocate that and even some of the wiring to an interior spot to maybe have the engineering firm with Article 6 just talk a little bit about that. It just might be a good opportunity. If you need it, it's going to pay for itself over time. I say to rubber stamp this one, but you might even want to use the engineering firm to even help you with that.
So Don, just to kind of explain, we've had the engineering company out here and they did look at that.
Okay.
That was a freebie because we needed to give them an idea, walk through the high school, look at the rooftop units. We have 10 rooftop units here. Some of the size of a Greyhound bus and the others are the size of a minibus. And they all have different functions in different areas in the building. For us, because these 2 units are vital, and we're coming into air conditioner mode. We've gone through the heat mode, but we're coming into air conditioner mode. And my fear is we're not going to be able to keep up, because what we're dumping into the building is getting sucked out of the building. And it's just, in that fact, it's just a waste of energy there. We get into the air conditioning mode, we're going to be wasting a lot more air conditioning. So for my help, I will look at all the other units, and that's why we said we need to identify these issues, but I really need to get these units addressed and resolved. The 2 units I talked about, 2 and 4.
Understood. Yep. Any questions on Article 7? Okay, shall we move on?
Yes, thanks, Don. And then the last one, I think Lincoln and I have had a couple of discussions about this. This is the mold reimbursement for November. Thanksgiving, we had a major mold issue in the gymnasium. There lies the other article that we're trying to do some remediation. This was for cleanup and fixing so that students could actually occupy the building post Thanksgiving. This has been a reimbursable in the past. I do have some documentation from Ernie, what was it, 2013, 2014, from when Mr. Lynham was there. And now this is a discussion. And I know Lincoln and I have talked about this a little bit, but this is a warrant article as a reimbursable. The district spent $54,000 on the remediation so that an emergency remediation because we needed to put students back in the building. The gymnasium was offline, Ernie, for what, 2 weeks?
Almost 3 weeks, Jeff.
3 weeks. We did have a mold, an air quality test and a mold test for the rest of the school to make sure that we were safe. But this is what it cost to get the gym back in order.
Okay, I think most of us have kind of seen this before. Maybe Justin Casanova hasn't. We're aware of this issue. Any questions on this?
Just to add on briefly to what Jeff said. So the town's position through me and the Board of Selectmen is that this is not a capital item. I know obviously the schools disagree, and I respect that. They certainly understand their position on it, but we just don't see it as a capital expense. According to the regional agreement, that is to say, so the regional agreement doesn't specifically specify like length of service and that kind of thing for a capital item, but the town of Whitman does in terms of a useful life of in excess of 5 years. Obviously, I would submit that this isn't a useful life of more than 5 years and is an operating expense, a maintenance expense, but we don't have to belabor it. It's obviously a difference of opinion on it.
Fred.
Difference of opinion, I guess. I don't know if we call it capital or whatever we want to call it, but the regional agreement does provide for the town to be responsible for what's considered to be an extraordinary repair. If this went, unresolved, I believe we would have had to have closed the school. I don't think you could have students in there with mold in that type of environment. That, or I don't know if you could seal off the gym, with plastic or whatnot, but certainly not what we want to portray. And I know and this is, I'm speaking for myself, like to portray our town as one that cares about our students and cares about everything, being as good as they can be, given a set of circumstances for children. Children should have the expectation to be able to go to school and play in a gymnasium that does not have mold in it. The mold is caused by a leak in a roof, I believe, that a decision was made many years ago that we would try and get by without repairing that or replacing that roof because of clawbacks and the cost and the fact that we were going for a new project. I wish this hadn't happened. I wish that the money didn't have to be spent, but I don't know that it's a district expense. The district is a lessee. Granted, the town doesn't charge us, for the building, but we are the lessee. And it all goes to the town's children. So that's sort of my perspective on it.
Okay, thanks, Fred. I just have one question, and this might even be for you, Bob. You might be able to shed some light on it. When they remediate the mold, are they doing it with some type of chlorine or some type of chemical to kill it and to dry it up? And how do we have any type of expected time that it's going to be clean for a period of time? So I don't even, and I hate to put you on the spot, Bob, but that's probably, you'd probably be much better than myself to understand that portion of it.
Yeah, well, I do know that there's infiltration in that gym. There's water getting through the roof and down through the exterior. So it's been a problem. And I remember walking through inspections every year in middle school and you could smell it. And Ernie's been really good about getting air quality tests and all that. The only way that you can open that school after you test positive for mold is to put negative pressure in the gym and then seal it all off. So they have to remediate, and they use, I believe it's a spray chemical that's safe, and that's what they do to get rid of it. So, and I don't agree that this should even be in front of this committee. I think that this is just a maintenance issue. It's not a capital expense, and we don't really have a choice because the money's already been spent, right? It's a reimbursement issue, and I think the town should reimburse the schools.
Yep, I look at this as being a maintenance issue also, but you know, where the funding comes from is important, but it has to.
It's something that's already done. So what?
Yeah.
Us voting on it, what does it matter? So,
Right.
yeah,
Has the
I don't know,
motion been
Lincoln, what
prepared?
you think of it. Do you think it should come out of the school's operating budget?
Well, I guess it just, to me, it just comes back down to the regional agreement, right? So maintenance costs according, so, and to be super clear, obviously, this is something that needed to happen. There's no debate whatsoever regarding that, this needed to happen in order to have it be a safe environment for the kids there in school. I think it's just a question of, for me, of the regional agreement. The regional agreement specifies that capital expenses are split out in these ways. I agree with you 100%, Bob. It's a maintenance expense, and the regional agreement says maintenance expenses are the responsibility of the school district, full stop. So, it's not a question of the validity of the expense and whatever. It's just, how is it going to be spent? And as far as I'm concerned, we need to follow the regional agreement. That's all.
Yeah, it certainly is extraordinary, but as far as this committee needing to vote on it, I don't agree with it. But
Josh McNeil, you had a question?
Yeah, this is the general question, I guess. Is there any way to prevent something like this from happening in regardless? I mean, I'm not even so speaking about the middle school itself, but just in general. I mean, maybe Bob can answer the question, but I mean, how often are buildings inspected for mold? And is there a way or plan to evaluate the building envelopes in an effort to prevent mold growth from within inside the building, from the future? I mean, I'd entertain some options or something we can take a look at to better understand where we stand and what we can do to prevent all this.
yeah, so I do annual inspections of the schools, and I walk through and we look at everything. We actually do it in exterior inspection as well. The middle school has been a problem since the day it was built. That's been an issue. The other issue with new buildings is the air exchange has been changed quite a bit. And fresh air intake, all the codes have changed regarding that because buildings were getting sick. Kids were getting sick. Ernie's been really good about having air qualities every single year. I think you know that, John. I think it's usually done before I do my annual inspection for back to school, but I think it's done even more often than that, maybe a few times a year. So middle school has been a problem for, like I said, forever. So I think whatever they're doing to keep that gym open is really good, because there was a couple of years, every time I walked in there, you could smell it. So they're keeping their nose to the grindstone on that, and I appreciate it.
Justin Evans, you had a question.
Yeah, I just more of a comment. I've spent a lot of time the last 2 days reading the regional agreement, but I may as well continue. Section E2, special operating costs. Special operating costs include costs unique to a particular town for maintaining programs or services. These costs will be borne by that particular town. I think this qualifies, so probably not a capital cost. Probably should be paid by Whitman. It's unexpected. It's particular to one town. Probably doesn't need to come to this committee, but I think a warrant article to the town is appropriate for reimbursement.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Justin.
Okay. All right. Jeff, did you have anything more?
No, I just appreciate your time and your consideration of these. I know there's some big ticket items. I hope we were able to tell you how we feel. The safety of our kids is paramount. But things are getting old, and I think Ernie has done a remarkable job. Ernie, again, might be your last capital meeting. I think folks in Whitman and Hanson appreciate your years of service and what you've done to maintain our buildings. I don't think he could have gotten a better compliment than when we were with members of MSBA in the Whitman Middle School, and they said, "Who's keeping this together? Because this building looks a lot better than it actually is." And that got us to the top of the list, to be to be in feasibility or to be invited in. So Ernie, I thank you, and I know the folks in Whitman and Hanson thank you for your upkeep of the facilities. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for hearing us out. I know you have some difficult choices to make, but I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you both. And Ernie, I thank you also. It was a pleasure
Thank you.
meeting you and working with you and do a couple of things.
Appreciate it.
Fine. I just have two questions before we close out, possibly.
Okay, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Superintendent, do you guys have a 5-year CIP plan or a multi-year CIP plan? How do you approach your capital improvement projects? So answer that one first, I guess.
So we've, since I've been the superintendent, we've really tried to put forward a capital matrix that we bring in technology. It never used to be technology. We put Ernie's department together with technology, to call it operations, to put together a matrix of fixes and replacements. And we're trying to keep that up. It is the district prior to me, Ernie, really didn't. We had a plan, but it wasn't a solid plan. I think we have a plan. I'm trying to make sure that both towns have an idea of where our priorities are and keep that matrix updated quarterly with us, with things that have been done, things that we can cost out or tap out once things are paid for, and then give the money back once appropriated from the towns back to the town coffer. So it's there for other projects.
That's fair. If you have a major, you say you look at it quarterly, I think it'd be great for our committee to take a look at that, see what's down in the pipeline or in the future. But
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Ernie, if this is your last go here, good job in your service to the towns. I guess pick the institutional knowledge. Is there anything in the pipeline we should be aware of? Anything concern you about our facilities? Or, yeah, any parting comments for the committee?
Well, I'm not going anywhere just yet, but I think the way we look at things here, we try to capture the needs and send them to the town, because we can start to sense, just like that truck I talked about, or just like those rooftop units. We know pretty much what's going on in the buildings. We kind of put our feelers out there. The high school, everybody still says the new high school. It was commissioned, well, not commissioned, but it was brought online in 2005. So it's got some wear and tear. And then I just go back to the way Conley, Duval, and Whitman Middle, when they were remodeled. There were things, inherent problems that we've kind of addressed to the town. The good news, it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is the town gave us money for putting generators at Conley and Duval. That to me was a gift, because we're now able to power up those buildings. We had no generators in those buildings before. So when we have a power outage during the day, we'd have to run around with flashlights, and it was archaic. But I think the town, in a positive sense, the town is recognized. Whenever we come forward with something, they study it, they understand it, and they try to help us along. Some of the issues that we're dealing with at the high school, like the rooftop units, that's a cycle that we're going through. And as long as we make you guys aware of it, whoever takes my position, whoever takes your position in the future, at least there'll be documentation saying that, yeah, we knew about this in 2022, and we have it on our capital matrix to be taken care of. So it's been a great relationship, believe me. I'm not doing my swan song here, but it's been a great relationship, because they've finance committees and selectmen and town administrators listen to us, and they want to help us. They want to make sure that the buildings are in good working condition. We've done energy upgrades. We try to do the best. We're good stewards for the buildings that the town of Whitman owns. And that's very important from my position. So my point is, whoever takes over this position, will look at what we've done, and they're going to see some progress being made. And it's cooperation between both towns. That's the only way we're going to be able to get it done. So I gave you a speech instead of specifics, but I think you asked a good question, and I don't see anything crazy other than us getting all those ducks in order for any future repairs that need to be done.
I agree with you. That's why I think that matrix is important, you know, to start seeing what's coming down the pipeline and understanding. People don't realize deferred maintenance leads to larger costs in the end. So we've got to keep up with things, as you know, and have a plan for it. So, thank
I
you.
agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the school district?
I just like to add my voice. I'm sure I'm gonna have a chance to say how great Ernie is in the future too, but I just want to add my voice to that. So the folks on this committee here that I've only seen him at work for a little more than a year, but he's obviously been a fantastic steward for the schools and by extension for the town. So I'll have to have a better, longer speech in the future when I get to see him, but thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Lincoln.
Okay, well, I thank the school for attending. I'm not sure you guys know, but we're not voting today. We're going to have a separate meeting, vote on all the different capital items for all the different entities of the town. So feel free to attend that if you want. We'll let you guys know when. I think Lincoln, maybe you can help. When are we submitting our capital recommendations to the finance committee? What date is that?
That is April 19th.
April. Right. Okay. So we'll be voting prior to that. I think the week before on a Thursday. All of our capital items. So feel free to witness it, attend if you'd like. But we're just going to go through all the different departments. So that's kind of how we're going to proceed. So with that, I thank you guys and thanks for attending.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ernie.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
You too.
I just asked that it wasn't the right place and time. That the monies for the roadway at the high school and at the for the 2 trucks to be in for those monies to be taken from E&D, which is the school's free cash. Perhaps that school committee member will be doing so at their next meeting, which I believe is in mid-April. It may be after this committee votes, but perhaps it is the intention of that committee member to do so. So and who knows if the entire school committee would ever, even second it or approve it. But it may be an attempt that is going to be made, because I personally think it would be a good use of one-time money.
Good information. Thank you. We don't have any minutes to approve, so there's really nothing else on our agenda right at the moment. I don't believe. Lincoln, is that correct?
I do not believe so. No.
All right, so
Motion to adjourn?
motion to
Second.
adjourn. Fred, anybody second?
Second.
Josh seconds. Okay, we'll go around and vote. Justin Evans,
Yes.
Josh McNeil,
Yes.
Aaron Taylor,
Yes.
Lincoln Heineman,
Yes.
Fred Smalls,
Yes.
Justin Casanova Davis,
Yes.
Bob Curran,
Yes. Yes.
Don Essen. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, and motion adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
folks.
Have a good night.